Let's podcast live. It's OG Butcher's Market live just after 2 o'clock here inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties. And thanks to you for watching live on YouTube with our friends at the Butcher's Market. Ham biscuits, hot dog reserves, have a bunker filled with hot dogs like Joe Giglio. Whatever you need, they got it. Maybe you need to contact Copiers Plus too, copiers-plus.com. You can have a document in the cloud that highlights all your hot dog consumption. Keeping track of those things.
That would be excellent.
Maybe you don't want to know your hot dog consumption if you really think about it.
Once Jared gets me that mustard ice cream with bits of sauerkraut, I am just going to be off the charts.
Mustard! All right. We got my favorite time of the year, Joe. It's here, Saturday. Lenovo Center. It's my favorite time of the year. It is time for the renewal of the rivalry. That is absolutely not a rivalry with NC State hosting North Carolina.
Yeah, I got really bad news for Carolina and whatever generation we're in right now, because the game was given away by Armando Bacot last year. Okay?
Yes.
So I get it. You love Duke. I get it. You went to camp with the Duke kids. I get it. Duke comes over. You play your secret pickup games and you do all these other things. And you know, Coach K and Roy are hanging out and not drinking and not smoking cigars and not playing golf, but, you know, they're chumming it up or whatever allegedly is happening with you Blue Bloods. But the truth of the matter is, once Armando Bacot said, yeah, I was rooting for Duke, well, I got news for you. That ain't your blood rival. I've got bad news for you. So, yeah, Ian Jackson, you're 19. You're from freaking New York.
Hey.
And you don't know a thing about the Wolves. That's fine.
I mean,
that's fine.
It's not like
totally acceptable.
It's not like he's going to that barbecue joint up in New York to know about the ACC rivalries.
Yeah, man. Apparently you weren't paying attention in March either. That's fine.
Why would he be?
Exactly.
I mean, come on. Why would he be? So, yeah, Ian Jackson, this was after they put the work on SMU earlier in the week. We can always count on Vashti Hurt over at Carolina Blitz to have that wonderful snackable content for everybody to enjoy. I think this was Gibby over at 17 who had asked him, hey, Ian, welcome to the Triangle. You ready for your first rivalry game?
First chance at a rivalry game coming up on Saturday. You looking forward to that? NC State, your first rivalry game here at UNC.
It's not rivalry?
Yeah.
NC State's a great team. You know, every team in the SEC is a great team. It's a hard conference, but we just want to go out there and play.
Blah, 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 blah. No. Here it is. Wait, hold on a second. We're live on YouTube. If you listen to the podcast after, I'm actually scrubbing through the video here.
Everything I know, I learned from watching Dave Canales' press conferences. It's always the first initial reaction.
Yes, it's not just what he said. It's the look. He's smiling. You look at that smile. He knows what he's saying. He absolutely knows what he is saying, Joe. So, yeah, we got this game on Saturday. But before we get to that game, though, between NC State and North Carolina, let's actually go back a step. First and foremost, the luck of the Irish does not apply to basketball against Tobacco Road teams.
Not at all.
Let's go back to the weekend where 4-point play aside, however you feel about what happened with Elliot Cadeau at the end of the game, they had 5 seconds left to go the length of the court and get a bucket. They almost did, but they didn't. And then last night, Ben Middlebrooks happens late in the game. NC State claws back. I thought it was donezo. I thought, oh man, I am not prepared for the OG Sports phone to light up tonight and go through it on OG Live, brought to you by the Butcher's Market today, right? So instead, Ben Middlebrooks keeps coming up clutch. Free throws at the end to put him up one.
Well, he made one.
He made one. Sorry, he made a free throw to put him up one.
Made the one that counted. Yeah.
They had what? 12 seconds? 11 seconds?
Mm-hmm.
Luck of the Irish? Not there. They pull that thing out. So NC State wins, and now we've got this matchup on Saturday.
Thought I had it in my notes.
What's that?
I had a new stat, and if I was in old Joe mode, I would have brought it up in the press conference yesterday.
I guess right. You went to the game yesterday.
That Carolina might ask State to win this game, actually.
Why is that?
The last 3 times Carolina has been on the bubble, 10, 20, and 23, they've won this game. the first meeting with NC State. And each
Okay.
time it was like, oh, okay, all Carolina needs to do is beat State. They'll be on their way, and then the season will be turned around.
Yeah.
Didn't happen in 10, obviously 20. There were some unusual circumstances.
To your point, when I was over at Cameron on Tuesday, I talked to the fellas.
Mhm.
Beard, Brendan Marks, Rod, the crew. Okay. Young Connor, all hanging out. The wise man, who I gave a little bit of a hard time. I'm like, dude, don't put in the paper what I was planning to talk about on Wednesday. Is Duke going to go undefeated? Don't do that. Don't get ahead of me. Anyway, I think it was Brendan who said, State's right there. The cure for what ails you if you're North Carolina.
It's not true.
So, okay.
When they're
I'm
on the
glad
bubble,
you brought
when
that
they
up.
when they are a team on the cusp, they usually win this game, and it doesn't help them. So if I was Carolina, I would actually lose on Saturday. That's what I would do.
Now you sound like it's my kid's hockey team. It's like, I don't know if we're going to play you or not. It doesn't really help us if we win. I'm like, dang it. Dang those my hockey rankings, right? Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. All right, well, here's my question. I'm going to be not that we're not transparent, not that we don't try to be fully, on the level with everybody. I have had a hard time watching NC State basketball this season.
year.
Yes.
Yeah, understandable.
It, to me, feels like a chore to watch NC State basketball. I don't know. Let me rephrase. What is NC State this season?
Well, if you just go by their Ken Palm profile, they are an extremely mid program.
Yes.
81 in offense, 122 in defense, 92 ranking. Like, is there anything? They're not bad. They're not good. They're just there.
They're there.
They're there.
Okay.
And given the opportunities that are in front of them,
Yeah.
like Carolina, in my opinion, has more opportunities
Sure.
because of the way that the schedule shakes out. For State, they get Clemson here. They get, obviously, the 2 games with Carolina. They only get Duke once, and it's over there. They haven't won over there in a million years. And they only get Pitt once. And it's here, and it's late. So they do get Louisville here. I mean, that could shape up by the end of it, but it's not, as we speak, it's not a Q1.
No.
So,
and I'm high on Louisville as to where they are right now.
Right. But all their opportunities are more limited. Plus, they don't have a Dayton and a UCLA on their resume.
Right.
They don't have anything out of the league on their resume. So they're in trouble, NCAA tournament wise. But I think, I'm wondering though, you ready for this? Speaking of things I do have notes on.
Okay.
Incomplete notes, but I made this list because it was more of like, I want you to guess what these notes actually mean.
Okay.
One of my my pet theories is that college basketball is now a year-to-year proposition.
Yes.
I mean, like, hey man, one year you could be flying high in March and shot down in April,
And
right?
Next thing you know, you're quitting on your basketball team in the middle of the year because you're just fed up.
No, you can't handle the system anymore.
I got great transfers, but I just can't handle when they leave me.
Okay, so here's a list: 22 UNC, 23 Miami, and then 24 State. So these are ACC teams, not all of them. I know. I hear you, my Duke friends. 22 UNC goes to the Final Four, makes the championship game. They don't even make the tournament the next year.
Yeah.
Miami 23 goes to the Final Four. They don't even make the tournament next year. And NC State goes to the Final Four in 24. They are on track to miss the tournament this year. So I'm not sure I can illustrate much clearer that college basketball is a year-to-year proposition. I'm also wondering though, and I saw this firsthand in baseball this year, and if I would not believe it unless you told it to me. And I want to see the data from this year's college football playoff as well. I'm wondering if these schools that make the college football playoff, that make a deep run in the NCAA tournament, that make the College World Series, I wonder if they're not at a disadvantage the next year because they can't be as fully active in the portal and knowing how their roster is going to settle based on that their teams are still playing. Because remember, Carolina, obviously not a ton of roster turnover after 22, but still enough that you had to replace Mack, and you still didn't know who was coming, who was going, who was staying, who was going pro. I think it's working against these programs that are having these deeper runs. Yes, I hear you. Duke made the final, made the Final Four in 22. Obviously, there was a transition to John Shire, but Duke, remember, has been a year-to-year program pretty much since 2012. So they're used to this. They're actually used to this because they're not trying to reload in the portal. They're reloading with the top recruits in the country. That's what they're doing. So I just thought of it last night. Thought of those 3 schools. Thought about what happened to them next year.
Well,
should make NC State feel good. Like, hey man, now you're in this club with the Tar Heels.
Well, actually, I view it the opposite way. I feel like that it's very limited sample size. Very limited sample size. So I just want to get that out of the way. The way I would view that is not, hey, NC State, look, welcome to this club. No, what I would look at is North Carolina going, do you want to be a part of this club?
You're seeing it the other way.
I'm seeing it the other way. Okay. It's the old wire.
Yeah.
You want it one way, but it's the
way.
other way. Okay. And I do feel it's that for North Carolina, which is a larger conversation we've been having about the Tar Heels throughout the season. Now, I ask you the question, what the hell is NC State? And that's been my problem. I guess I'm not alone in that. Jack on the YouTube comments. I try to watch every NC school I can play basketball, from UNC Dub all the way to Western Carolina. Jack, you are a sicko. That is some sicko behavior right there. Regardless, State is probably one of the least entertaining to watch. Not good, not super bad, just mid. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with mid. My point, the point that I was trying to make with NC State, I don't like it when I feel like I have an obligation to watch something. When I tune into Duke, like, okay, I'm tuning in because I want to, all right, what's going to happen there? What's Cooper Flag going to do? What is their ceiling? What can you extract from watching this game? Like this past Tuesday against Pitt.
Yeah.
With North Carolina, I kind of am now falling into a pattern of when I tune into North Carolina, what the freshmen are doing and the development of Ian Jackson, Powell, et cetera, right? Elliot Cadeau's development. Does RJ Davis look like he gives a damn tonight? That sort of thing. And I think he will on Saturday against NC State.
Sure.
I mean, heck, you don't believe me. It ties back to our conversation with RJ Davis back at ACC tip-off, right? Because you brought up the Armando Bacot thing. We talked to RJ Davis at ACC tip-off. We followed up on the whole, hey, man, Armando Bacot said he was rooting for Duke in that Elite Eight game. What about you?
It was on Theo's podcast and straight up said he was rooting for Duke when State and Duke were playing in the Final Eight. Who were you rooting for?
That's a hard decision because hard to answer the question and answer because obviously we have our rivalry with Duke.
Yeah.
And we have our back and forth for State. But I'm gonna have to agree with Armando on this, just in terms of I was kind of rooting for Duke, even though I was neutral a little bit, but I was siding with Duke more just because I know State will run with that for the rest of their lives and we'll hang that over our heads. So that will be something that, because they beat us in the ACC championship and then made it to the Final Four. That's something that they'll brag on us for the rest of their life.
That's the right answer. I kind of want to give them 5 out of 5 without even asking them.
I respect that, but I also think the triangle dynamics are funny like that. Because look, man, I was in Cameron.
Yeah,
I saw how you guys were like. It's good to see a little bit of the nastiness back.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what makes rivalries.
The words you said, though, you have a rivalry with Duke, a back and forth with State.
Yeah.
You're younger.
Right.
Yeah, that's your generation.
100%.
You don't consider State a rival. That's the way it is now.
So I think that was probably the best way to put it. Our back and forth.
Back and forth. I like
So
that.
in this particular back and forth, I can see RJ Davis balling out
Yeah, I mean,
at Lenovo Center.
let's just quote the world's greatest philosopher, Bill Belichick. I mean, his first words were "beat Duke." So I don't even know what you're talking about. Is there another school? I'm not even sure.
It's the only one that exists, man.
Yeah.
It's the only one that exists. You're absolutely right about that. Absolutely right about that. All right. So Carolina specifically. The thing I've been saying about North Carolina this year is that they have to be absolutely perfect offensively in order for them to get to beat a good team. You can beat Notre Dame.
You beat NC State.
You
sure.
can beat NC State, but what's the difference in beating a mid-level ACC squad? They're kind of like how I treat the Miami Dolphins in football. Like, congratulations, Miami Dolphins. You look like a performance car when you're going up against the bad teams. But when you actually have to play legitimate competition, you start to see where you leak oil. And I think with North Carolina specifically, like I'm on Ken Pom right now, and you could look at the 4 factors for Ken Pom. And what you see out of North Carolina is a team that offensively, when they're hitting, pretty good. But when they get challenged, specifically defensively, specifically on the boards, what North Carolina fans are used to seeing isn't there. Now, this is pretty typical for Hubert Davis, though. It's just it really is coming home to roost this particular season. There's two things that are a problem for North Carolina, which leads to them having to be absolutely perfect offensively. As we know, offensive rebounds, not a thing this year. You're looking at their numbers right now. Offensive rebounding percentage is 27.2%. Ken Palm, that's good for 255. Roy Williams would look at that and be sick to his stomach. But that's not Hubert. It's not Roy's team anymore. So it is what it is. But that's where they are. They're also not creating any turnovers. Okay. Right now, UNC's defense is near 300, turnover percentage of 15.6%. Again, you're not really giving yourself opportunities in this particular case, which then leads to, man, you got to be perfect. So they've got the talent. I think that's the other thing between NC State and North Carolina that'll be the difference on Saturday. I can look at North Carolina. I know where the talent advantages are. I mean, specifically, you can look at RJ Davis, the way that he plays. You can look at Ian Jackson, the way he's been coming on, all those things, right? I look at NC State, and I'm not saying clearly there's a talent disadvantage between NC State and North Carolina, but I also don't, it gets back to, again, when I look at NC State, well, what is it that they do well? And I guess there's really nothing in particular that they do well. So you're hoping on getting hot shooting wise, and then basically taking advantage of the fact that, North Carolina is not going to turn the ball, not going to force you to turn the ball over, which I guess was the plus of last night against Notre Dame. I think they only had, 6 or 7 turnovers against Notre Dame last night. So you're not going to be put in a position to turn the ball over unless you bounce it off your foot every freaking time. So that's the only thing I can see where NC State might have a decent opportunity. Carolina's not going to clean it up on the glass because Armando Bacot's not there to ruin your life again. And obviously they're not going to put you in a defensive blender. Okay. So anyway,
there's only one interesting part about Saturday's game. To be perfectly honest with you, Carolina's going nowhere. State's obviously going even shorter than nowhere.
This is true. This is true.
Dontrez Styles is going to be the first person to play in this game for now, first Carolina and now State, maybe in the history of this rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe there was somebody in World War II or somebody back then. I don't know the answer to that question. But that to me is going to be interesting. I remember coming out of high school in Kinston, Kevin had recruited Dontrez Styles. Obviously, most people from Kinston are enamored with Carolina and playing for Carolina. Jerry Stackhouse and everyone not named Brandon Ingram, let's say. Right?
Yeah.
So I remember when he went to Carolina and people were excited about him. He played sparingly that first year at Carolina. Did hit a huge 3 against Baylor in the NCAA tournament. And for whatever reason, it didn't work out. And for whatever reason, I say, Hubert didn't like him. Hubert didn't think he was very good. So if you're ever going to be motivated to play in a basketball game, it should be Dontrez Styles on Saturday to show the guy at the school that you grew up worshiping and told you flat out, you're not good enough to play for me. Like, this should be the one time in your life that you have one of those moments where you're like, nah, here I am. I'm here to show you. But it's interesting because when he first left Carolina after the 23 season, he actually did go to NC State and had a recruiting visit.
Okay.
And he instead went to Georgetown. And it was not Kevin. It was someone else over there who had said to me, I said, man, that would have been interesting if you had gotten Styles. And they were like, yeah, he's not that kind of person. Like, he doesn't hold that type of grudge. And I don't think he wanted to be the guy who went from Carolina directly to State.
Okay.
So, there's a little bit of like, not dog. It was more like he's not an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you kind of have to be an asshole to go from one to the other.
That makes sense. Every time we talk about ACC hoops, it's brought to you by Keller Williams Commercial, the Donnelly team. They dropped by the studio today to tell us about the very, very specific needs. Or
today,
earlier in the week.
Where are you?
I need a beer is what I need.
There's one right there. Just get the shorties don't count.
Okay, maybe I'll open one up here in a second.
There you go.
Regardless, we had the Donnelly team here in studio this week.
We did. Julie and Brian. They're amazing.
To talk about the very specific need for some of our listeners. Do not spill that water.
It's Sprite.
Okay. Regardless, you might need a warehouse. You might need a bunker to hold all those hot dogs and 2 Roosters ice creams to combine, right?
Yeah.
You might need a spot to hold all of these tchotchkes.
Hey, man, we might expand. OG Media might expand from 2 employees to 12. And we could not put 12 employees in here.
Yeah.
So you know what you do? You pick up the phone, call Brian, 919-616-8681, or you can go to triangleNCcommercial.com. Again, for all of your commercial real estate needs. I get it. a pandemic kind of changed how work works.
Mhm.
Well, we're starting to get more so back to normal when it comes to even working and going to work in person. Maybe your office, maybe your business needs an upgrade. Give them a call, 919-616-8681 or trianglencommercial.com.
Now it's 2:21 as of this recording, as we are live on YouTube. So I do not have the NC State Carolina game on DraftKings right now.
Okay.
But
You can always sleuth this.
you can sleuth it.
No. You legitimately you go
Okay.
to Ken Palm.
Yes.
4.
Yes.
They have it as Carolina -4.
Okay. $5 gang.
I would take the Tar Heels on the money line. Yeah.
Just straight money line on this one.
Yeah, if you're someone who graduated from NC State, you can hedge Carolina, but you cannot do the points. It has to be the money line because then they could pipe you. There ain't nothing worse than watching Carolina win and not cover. Okay, not
Fair
one
point.
thing.
Fair point. Fair point. I know that last year when the books opened up, speaking of NC State, a lot of folks with the bonus bets were like, "Yeah, man, NC State, why not?"
Mhm.
Right?
Why not us?
Why not us? And hey, y'all made out pretty good. I showed you. Y'all emailed me some screen grabs of DraftKings last year when it comes to NC State. But you know what? I know we kind of sounded a little pessimistic about both NC State and North Carolina. Here's what you do if you're a new customer, and maybe you'll make out like some NC State fans last year. What you do is you go to DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, which we're going to get to here in a second. So you're a new customer. Download the app, use the promo code OG24. New customers who bet $5 will get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Here's what I'm going to tell you to do. Take one of those bonus bets and put, you know what, North Carolina, you're going to win the ACC tournament because the odds on North Carolina winning the ACC tournament right now are actually pretty good. So you can make out on that bonus bet. So go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, download it today, use the promo code OG24. New customers who bet $5 will get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. And while you're at it, we got Wildcard Weekend. Again, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. The most fun you can have is on touchdowns. Really simple to do. You know what? I think Lamar Jackson's going to score here. Boom, done. I think Russell Wilson's going to ruin Lamar Jackson. Well, maybe not. I don't buy that. But I do believe in Jim Harbaugh getting over on CJ Stroud. So, you know what you do? Justin Herbert, anytime touchdown. Let's go. It's all there for you. And if you're ready to place that first bet, do something simple like a touchdown, all at DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball.
Ken is right. It is too cold for a beer. It is bourbon weather. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Since we're live, here's what we're going to do, Joe. I'm going to present to you, it could always be worse. Right?
Okay.
We're sitting here talking about NC State and North Carolina and everything being kind of mid. May I remind you that things can always be worse. Hey, NC State, there was a time where you could have had Mick Cronin as your head coach.
They wanted Mick Cronin. If they could have had him, they would have had him. He didn't want to come here.
He didn't?
No.
That's right. He was going through some things. I think he wanted to stay up in Cincinnati, right?
He was.
Is that what it was?
Yes.
Regardless, you could have had Mick Cronin. He could be on NC State's sideline, but then you'd also get stuff like this after you lose.
But we don't play. We're soft. So don't tell me you want to win. Just don't tell me you want to win. So don't tell me you want to win. It's crazy, and it's every day. I'm tired of it. It's every day. I have the most energy of anybody at practice every day. I'm upset with everybody in that locker room, my assistant coaches and my players. I don't need to do anything else. I almost got 500 wins. I'm only 53. It's a joke. It's a joke. But yet I come in and I have more passion and energy and pride than everybody in. That's the problem. So what the truth of it is, Ben, it's really hard to coach people that are delusional. The hungry dog gets the bone. We got guys that think they're way better than they are. They're nice kids. They're completely delusional about who they are.
Joe,
how does one recover? They're 11-4, man.
It's 2025.
Like
does this still work?
There's also like a whole lot of your season in front of you.
Yeah,
like
man.
You just completely buried your roster. I don't know. Also, Mick, I do enjoy Mick Cronin. Once upon a time, even before that other search, he looked a lot. He still does look a lot like Herb Sendek.
Mm-hmm.
That was never going to fly with the fan base. But that was before Debbie Fowler liked him too. Back in when he was at Murray State.
Yeah.
You can't bury your team like that. You have the whole rest of the year. By the way, yeah. What do you have left to do? I don't know, man. Maybe win the fucking thing. You've been to the Final Four once.
He's been in once.
Okay.
Yeah. But he's got 500 wins. Hey, Joe.
Awesome.
What more do we have to accomplish in 2025? We were named the Reader's Choice Wake Living Best Local Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
What more do we need to do in 2025, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
We're good.
Housekeeping.
It's brought to you by Enovana. You can check them out online at enovana.com. Green cleaning solution.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
We've got the Basketball Jones, the Rialto, January 31st.
It's a Friday. Got a new calendar.
I'm kind of annoyed because I've been trying to, find dumb ways to promote this thing with Bomani coming back to town. And you know me, I am the keeper of useless shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really bothered by the fact that I cannot find the full video of a Carolina Mudcats batting contest that we did back in 2008 that Bomani was a part of. Now, Bomani crushed the ball a few times.
Mm-hmm.
All right. There was one local host who was sweating it that you might get beat by Bomani, and it wasn't me. You get one guess who was absolutely not going to allow himself to lose a batting contest.
Mr. Baseball?
Yeah. He was sweating. There was no way. If I remember correctly, he was sweating. Anyway, so I've got I have this video. I thought I had this video.
Do not.
And it's not on this thumb drive that, the last day at 8:50 The Buzz, I basically dragged an entire production folder over to a thumb drive.
2 stations, 1 cup.
Yeah, that's still on there. Some Buzz Babe videos that would absolutely get us canceled now. Although somebody told me that, you know what, you should bring the Buzz Babes back because you totally can. I'm like, nah, man, we're evolved now. We can't do that. Regardless, Bomani is back. He's evolved. And we got the Basketball Jones. And we're also happy to announce that Lavelle Moten, Central coach, is going to be in the house on that Friday night because who better to tell you stories about Triangle Hoops than Lavelle, who knows everybody.
Yeah.
He knows everybody. He's just generally a good hang. So that's all taking place January 31st at the Rialto. Check it out, therialto.com. Get your tickets today. We'll also have an After Dark, which I might attend if a hockey game gets canceled. So in the meantime, though, hockey team manager can't be here, which means Paul wants to know when you're actually going to drop him that link. Still waiting on that link to hang out with the drunk hour.
I just have to create it, Paul. I got you. I have your email now.
Okay. All right. Just making sure it all works out. Making sure it all works out. So anyway, that's all happening After Dark, NC State and North Carolina. Big thanks to our friends over at Longleaf Swine. Ken is right. It is officially bourbon weather. You know who has an excellent bourbon selection?
Our friends at the Longleaf Swine.
It's cold out. They've got it enclosed. They've got heaters. They've got bourbon. What more do you need? Great food, too. Longleaf Swine has it. Check them out, longleafswine.com. You're not thinking about mosquitoes right now, but I would advise you that it's super cold and critters want inside. That's why Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority combine at bugsbite.com. You can bundle and save. Again, all at bugsbite.com. It is super cold out. Fleece-lined hoodies are the move. Home Field has those hoodies for you and the sweatpants. You can be a sweatpant convert like me, thanks to Home Field. Check them out, homefieldapparel.com. Use that promo code OG24 to save 15% off your order. And if you're going to the NC State, NC State, Carolina, you see the hoodies right there. They got awesome throwback NC State and Carolina gear, Duke gear as well. The Wake Forest people saw your Wake Forest hoodie yesterday, Joe.
My Deeks.
Your Deeks. And if you're going to the game at Lenovo Center, may I suggest you park at the Breeze Through?
May I suggest you bring a coat and hat and gloves and everything else, man? I froze my tootsies off yesterday.
Yeah.
My goodness.
It's cold out. It is cold out. Go to breezethrough.com. You can download the app as well. You can save money on gas. So it's all at Breeze Through. Go check them out today.
Woj, you're going to enjoy this. I took Penn State this morning, and I'm going to tell you a very specific reason why. Not necessarily because I think they're going to win. Because at the beginning of the year, I took a ticket for Penn State to win the national championship. Okay. I took them because I was like, there's a playoff, and I didn't believe in Ohio State, and I definitely didn't believe in Georgia at the time. And for whatever reason, I was like, you know what? Maybe they'll pull a Michigan this year and win the national championship. For those who know and follow, I am the king of the runner-up. If I can have a ticket on a team to win a championship, it's almost guaranteed that they're going to make the championship and lose. So under that premise, that Penn State was my preseason choice to win the national championship, I believe they will make the championship game and lose to the Ohio State, because apparently that's the way that it's just going to go.
Okay.
So
I'd seen this,
but and I know what you're saying now, Woj, but remember, it was me betting on Georgia that had kind of let me down. It wasn't a Notre Dame thing.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
I had Notre Dame against Indiana in that first playoff game.
I had seen a post that there are no likable college football teams left in the college football playoff. Not a single one. Not a single one.
I mean, it depends on your definition of Texas at this point.
I mean, people still have people still don't like Texas. They don't believe in Texas.
Well, liking and believing are two different things.
Yeah, I guess that's fair too. I guess Mack Brown's back on that Texas swag. Mack showed up at the basketball game the other day.
But it did.
So if you're watching on YouTube, Mack Brown showed up to a basketball game. Longhorn legend, Coach Mack Brown, in the mood. Hook 'em. He is wearing a full-on Texas burnt orange vest. You and I were having a conversation before we got started today about whether or not I'm a vet. Given the choice, vest or quarter zip, what would I be more likely to wear? I'm telling you right now, based on how Mack Brown looks in that vest, I am going to go quarter zip every single time.
I just
because he looks like he's about to go on a boating expedition, he looks like he's practicing safety with a life jacket.
He looks like Marty McFly. That's fine.
Yes, he does.
I just hope on his shoes it says Tar Heel for life. I just hope, because that's how it works. You leave the Chapel Hill cocoon, and no, it's for life.
So I see this. I see that's a Peter Millar. That is a Peter Millar vest, by the way.
Okay.
How much do you think that bad boy goes for? Shout out to Ross for pointing out, Ross Martin, that's a Peter Millar vest.
Okay. Well, if you could stop saying that brand on our program, I would appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I don't know. They're very expensive.
Fair enough. That's why you should go Roback every single time. Use a promo code OG20. That way you can even save on your Roback.
Help yourself out.
Yes, by all means. Mac, should we send him one?
No.
Think he'd come on the show if we send him one?
For life.
So I see this. And
such frauds.
You know how this, like the past couple of weeks with the whole Bill Belichick thing, I have wondered if Mack Brown would ever curse.
Come and get your boy.
Like if Mack Brown would be like, fuck him. Yeah, fuck Chapel. Yeah, fuck Tar Heels. Fuck Bubba. Like I always thought that would could he ever say that? Well, you know what? Seeing that image, that's exactly what he's saying.
Without using the word.
He did not have to use. We could learn. You and I could learn from Mack Brown. There are ways to curse.
You're right.
Without actually cursing.
Man, I was breaking that one. Yeah, you're right.
Mack is really, really good about this.
Well, he's always been better at messaging than anyone who's ever done it.
He is the king, the absolute king. Anyway, I saw that. And of course, Bill Belichick's in the news. And I mean, at this point, it's something that's going to stick with Bill Belichick in North Carolina throughout the entire time he is with the Tar Heels. So let's start with a tweet that got the people going yesterday afternoon from Tom Pelissero at the NFL Network. Multiple NFL teams have inquired about whether legendary coach Bill Belichick would reconsider his move to college football, including the Raiders, whose new minority owner, Tom Brady, spoke recently with his old coach, per league sources. That was followed up by Diana Rossini over at The Athletic. And here's Rossini's tweet. Bill Belichick has no plans to return to the NFL, per sources. I'm told his sole focus is on coaching and recruiting for North Carolina as he continues building the Tar Heels' future. He's recruiting today in New Jersey. Wait a minute. Why would you be recruiting in New Jersey, Joe, while there's another job that's available? The very job he wrote on a napkin I ain't taking. Makes you wonder, Joe.
Hey, they got a guy from UConn who just had a sack against them.
That's
UConn. I really, it's in poor taste.
Mhm.
I'll do it anyway. If I'm Bill Belichick, I would never take another player from UConn for the rest of my life.
Fair. So here is Ian Rappaport on Threads. So I'm gonna have to do a little trickeration here to get the audio working. But here's Ian Rappaport on Threads following up on that.
The minority owner for the Las Vegas Raiders limited partner is Tom Brady. Bill Belichick's
Hold
old
on, let
friend.
me go back.
Very interesting story earlier today by my good buddy and colleague Tom Pelissero on the future and present of Bill Belichick. Remember, Bill Belichick, not the Patriots coach, the North Carolina coach, University of North Carolina head coach. So here's what was interesting. Multiple teams have been calling Belichick, gauging his interest in their head coaching jobs. One of those teams, the Las Vegas Raiders. Obviously, the minority owner for the Las Vegas Raiders limited partner is Tom Brady, Bill Belichick's old friend. So a couple of things we learned. One, I don't get the sense Belichick's going to leave North Carolina. I really don't. It would cost $10 million for a team if they did it. I don't think the money's a big deal. I don't think Belichick would commit to something then leap to the NFL. Interesting that him and Brady are still close. Interesting that the Raiders at least reached out trying to gauge his interest. I would also say, where was this last year? Like, Belichick was a free agent last year. Hadn't signed on a college job, was a year younger, just coming off the Patriots stint. Like, where were all the teams last year, right? Like, anyone could have interviewed him. It was only the Falcons. They ended up hiring Raheem Morris. Had a fine season, but, obviously missed the playoffs. And the greatest coach of all time was there. So, teams are trying now. They're inquiring now. They're talking. I would say too little, too late. But yeah, we will see. We'll see where this ends up going.
So again, that's Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network following up on what Tom Pelissero was saying about Bill Belichick, which was put to bed by Diana Rossini.
But this is the NFL. Like $10 million is not.
So let's. I had jotted these things down as I'm hearing Ian Rappaport go through this. Let's go through the buyout first. There's the well-known news, the well-known item in the contract that the buyout goes from $10 million, which it currently is, to $1 million on June 1st of this year.
Let me just take a quick pause here.
Mhm.
We do not have the contract. We have the terms of agreement that is not his final contract.
Fair.
Okay.
But based on what we know,
correct.
June 1st, the buyout goes from $10 million to $1 million.
Right.
To your point, people are acting as though $10 million is some sort of hurdle for an NFL owner.
Yeah, this isn't ECU or App State or NC State trying to get out of a deal.
No. So let's stop talking about, when it comes to NFL matters, $10 million being some sort of impediment for Bill Belichick. Then he brings up the Brady thing. I understand from afar. Well, there's a couple of thoughts on Brady. First and foremost, the fact that Brady is becoming more involved with the Raiders head coaching search and operations of the Raiders leads me to believe that Tom Brady is one and done when it comes to broadcasting. I think once this playoff series is done, once this playoff stuff is done, we ain't going to see Tom Brady in the broadcast booth next season. That's just my hunch. That's my theory. We'll see how that plays out. I could be wrong, but that's one of my 2025 predictions. But Tom Brady will not be back in the booth when we get to next season. So there's this,
and he will not be missed.
No. And it's whatever. It's a hard job, man. That's a hard job.
It's crazy difficult.
So Brady, Belichick, wait a minute. I thought things ended on bad terms. What's going on here? Look, man, there's something that happens with incredibly competitive people when they get away from each other for a little bit. They have their break. Maybe it didn't work anymore as a coach quarterback situation with the Robert Kraft Palace intrigue. But once you get away and you start looking around, it's like the old Kobe Bryant GQ feature that has always stuck with me when he said, man, I don't have a lot of friends because nobody can get on my level.
Sure.
And when you step away and when you're not in that direct relationship anymore of quarterback and coach, but maybe in a much more collaborative effort of owner, coach, XYZ, maybe with some time spent away, that relationship is cooled a little bit. It could work a little bit. And maybe Brady's gets to what you were saying earlier this week, which gets to the Tom Pelopet, the Ian Rappaport, like, why now? Like, Belichick was available last year, but there was only one team that actually interviewed him, Atlanta Falcons, and then Robert Kraft sunk that, as we've seen reported. So why all of a sudden is there's interest in Belichick now? Which gets to what you said earlier this week when in relation to Belichick and a wounded ego that Mike effing Kafka is getting interviewed for jobs.
Right.
You take a look around and you're going, ooh, maybe there's really not a lot of up and coming coaches that we really want to get behind, or these young coaches we thought were going to be the next thing. They're struggling, and that's not what this team needs.
Yeah. Listen, I'm trying to be cognizant that people think we're being dismissive of Bill Belichick. I'm just trying to make a little bit of sausage here.
Sure.
If Bill Belichick was wanted by the NFL, he would not have taken the Carolina job.
Thank
Let's
you.
start on that premise.
Yes, that's
okay?
an important premise that I don't think people want to accept.
But let's start there.
Yes.
Right. And now, if you're Bill Belichick and you still have some friends in the NFL, who does it help to say now, look, hey, well, there's two different things. Number one is, who does it help to say, look, hey, who can I leak this out to that, hey, they wanted to talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you play a little bit of the politic game with your sources, right? Yep. Bill Belichick's got an agent. Of course he does. Bill Belichick's agent has other coaches and other ways that he wants to be helped.
Yep.
So you reach out to people and say, hey, now the third part of this is, if you're Tom Brady and you're the new minority owner of the Raiders, you would be out of your mind not to call Bill Belichick at the very least and say, hey, what are your thoughts on this job? I mean, he might pull a Dick Cheney. You might say, who do you think? Who do you like? Who do you think could be good at this job? Or he might just say, I'll be good at this job. You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They won 6 Super Bowls together. So if anyone is going to call Bill Belichick, it's Tom freaking Brady.
Yes.
And he should.
Yes.
Every right. Now, on Bill Belichick's resume is a job that he has taken before in the NFL, and then he never coached for that team. So up until the point that he shows up on August 30th at TCU or against TCU, that's when you should probably feel really good.
Well,
but the truth is, you got to get through the combine and all this other stuff before you're sitting here thinking that that's really happening. Those terms of agreement that we saw says June 1st for a reason, because that's the point where it clears the combine, the draft, and everything else, right? So now all of a sudden, there's no NFL team that's hiring somebody after June 1st, not without like some sort of calamitous event happening in their franchise. So I hope I made that fairly clear.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to make clear too, because this week we've received, I have received some pushback on the dismissiveness of Bill Belichick in North Carolina, or the idea that it's made me mad or upset or whatever it is. And I'm like, no, it doesn't make me. I mean, this is fascinating to me. I mean, the whole process has been fascinating to me. And to me, it gives us something to talk about on a pretty consistent basis, which, hey, man, I'm all about. Y'all know how I feel about these things. I root for the show. And Bill Belichick, North Carolina, absolutely helps what we do, stuff to talk about. Where I've always pushed back is this almost like naive way of thinking related specifically to Bill Belichick and why he's here.
Yeah.
Like, Bill Belichick did not go into this offseason thinking, yeah, man, I'm going back to college. That's not how it worked. He received enough information that, hey, man, they're done with me. And because of the ego, fine, you're done with me. I'm going to stick it to you. I'm going to make myself desirable. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to take back the headlines. I'm going to be out there. You can't get rid of me. Okay.
Sure. But it's also not charity work.
He's getting paid too.
$10 million. And then the money for his son and the money for his girlfriend.
I get all that stuff.
That is an unbelievable plan B.
I get all that stuff, but I want to strip that away and specifically focus on Belichick, ego, and the NFL. A guy who has been very open about how he thinks that NFL ownership is dumb. He's been on record telling you ownership is
subsequently
dumb.
He has been on record, not at the time.
But now he is. Now he is. So I think he probably enjoys some of these owners kind of twisting in the wind a little bit with their poor decisions. Like, y'all could have had me. I'm just sitting here. But you know what? I'm going North Carolina, which gets to whether or not this is a serious thing. Look, Belichick and Brady could have been chatting just as a catch-up. Brady could have been asking Bill Belichick, what do you think? Not necessarily about the job, but hey, man, what do you think about the job?
I would not take Bill Belichick's recommendations for any coaches.
There's that part. There's that part.
If we're being very honest about something.
But now that Belichick is on the recruiting trail, that he's openly being this North Carolina head football coach, I don't think he's going to pull a Jets here, is what I'm getting at. Belichick is going to coach this year. I want to be...
Again, I would love to see the actual contract, what the wording is for his son, because I do believe part of this plan for him is to have some sort of success and turn it over to his son. I do believe that is part of the plan.
But everything aside, me being kind of upset about the naive nature, almost like bootlicking variety of which we just believe everything that comes out of these coaches and the institutions is to be taken word, at face value, right? I always push back on that. Why people put their trust in institutions, I will never understand, especially given that institutions constantly disappoint you. So in this particular case, when it comes to Belichick, I recognize what it is. It is a marriage of convenience. Belichick is a man without an NFL home. The NFL decided, we don't want you. So Belichick, looking what to do next, look, media was never going to be the thing. The guy's a coach. All right, well, what can I do next that benefits me, benefits my son, benefits my own ego and standing? What's available to you? North Carolina is an intriguing brand, as we've always discussed. Belichick would never take the NC State job. He would never take the Duke job. He would never take a job like, say, Georgia Tech, right? But North Carolina is an intriguing brand. And obviously, they've got the connections and the money to make all those other things work, as you've mentioned. And of course, North Carolina and those behind the scenes who want to make sure that North Carolina isn't left behind in the next round of expansion and conference realignment want to make it abundantly clear, even if this Bill Belichick thing doesn't work out, they have signaled to the rest of the college football world, hey, we're serious about football to the point where we're doing this with Bill Belichick.
I was going to say, don't confuse our takes on Bill Belichick with our takes on what Carolina did.
Right.
Carolina is announcing their presence.
Thank you.
And I personally, I don't care if Belichick is the coach against TCU or not, because they're making the announcement. That's what they're doing.
Yes.
They're telling you this is the direction we're going in.
Yes, absolutely.
And that is as important, if not more important, than the name itself of Bill Belichick at 72 years old.
To wrap all this up, Belichick's going to be the coach of North Carolina next year. I have not moved on that. At this point, now that he's recruiting, he's put himself out there and he's representing North Carolina, I can't imagine that he's already this far in that he's going to eject to take an NFL job.
Far.
They're hiring coaches.
Sure. For his kid to be the coach.
Now. If you want to delve deeper, and this is a conversation for later, I was talking to one person who would know, explaining how Belichick Lombardi is such a different world of what they're used to, that they're having a hard time dealing with how college works, dealing with parents.
Different agents, different parents. I mean, it's not parents anymore. It's agents.
It's agents. A completely different world, no contracts, all that kind of stuff.
Really just not doing a service. Most of them not doing a service to the players.
No, and it's been described to me as a shit show and how these two kinds of worlds right now are clashing. That's how it was described to me, a shit show. Now, again, once we get to the football field, I'm going to trust Bill Belichick to know what the hell he's doing. But
there's no doubt about that.
And we'll get there. We'll eventually get there. But that's where we're at right now. And this is something that is not going to go away with Bill Belichick, nor do I think he wants it to go away.
No.
He does not want it to go away.
I meant to send it to you. I don't think I did. On the ESPN news feed today was source Belichick, UNC add UConn transfer. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, okay, well, like this random backup defensive tackle commits to North Carolina. In any other circumstance, is that on the feed?
Nope.
In football?
Nope.
For ESPN?
Nope.
And now would it have said Mack Brown, UNC add UConn transfer?
No.
Right?
Nope.
So it's a complete also source as if you needed.
Yeah, you're going to source on that one. You don't need a source on that one. The hockey is back. Canes had the audacity to go on the road in January. How dare they? But they're back tonight.
And tomorrow. I got so much work to do.
You know
There's
what?
a lot of work to do. A lot to get into.
Treat yourself, Joe, with a Slave and Sunday.
It's hard for those same reasons that you mentioned. It can be difficult.
Go to tworoosters.com. They got rotating flavors at their various locations. But if you're going to any of these Canes games, including the big number retirement for Eric Stahl, get that Slave and Sunday.
Non-dairy Brookio. I'm going to have to get you some.
Please do. I'm looking forward to that. You are coming out of the holidays. You are realizing that by hosting people or you got a bunch of new stuff that you are bursting at the seams. It is time for a new house. May I suggest you go to Hometown Realty. Check them out online, myhtr.com. I will see the big old myhtr.com billboard, the Hometown Realty billboard on my way to Garner tonight. It's like just a beacon there, guiding me to Polarized Garner, showing me the way.
The North Star.
It can show you the way to a brand new home or selling a house. So go to myhtr.com. Mentioned hockey. We haven't taken too much of a hockey break today. However, we do have a little bit of news from yesterday, I guess.
Let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hill.
Because Freddie Anderson was back on the ice, so he's practicing.
Had a little availability, too.
That's good.
Yeah.
See,
his least favorite thing in the world.
Yeah, I know. But as I said, when all this stuff was going on, just power through, y'all. Just power through a Kochetkov, who has not actually, he's actually been okay. He's been okay.
Yeah.
And then
I saw Tokarski the last game at home. So
Yeah.
that was my first time seeing him. Definition of a replacement level goalie.
Yes, and all you're really doing is powering through all this stuff, like the power through crew, to make sure you can get back to Freddie. So Happy and Hale can help you get back to some semblance of balance when it comes to your dietary needs. Okay. Yes, you're coming out of the holidays. You're saying you got to cut back on things, eat a little healthier, and you understand. Yeah, I eat healthier. I don't feel like there's a lot of flavor there. It's not really filling me up. No, Happy and Hale accomplishes all these things.
No, delicious and nutritious.
Yes. So check them out. Download the app. Makes it super easy for you to get in and out with takeout. Big thanks to Whitaker and Hamer. You can check them out online at wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer. I'll be at Shady's tonight because I got great Wi-Fi, by the way.
Oh, you're in the Garners.
Yeah. Garner for practice, which means once the kid hits the ice, I'm at Shady's so I can use the Wi-Fi.
And you can watch Penn State, Indiana.
I
Penn
can.
State, Notre Dame.
Notre Dame tonight, all at Shady's. But in the meantime, you can get your legal needs taken care of. Go to wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer.
I've been admonished before for how I say Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
I know the right way to say Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
I know the right way to say Gonzaga.
Mm-hmm.
How do you say the Fighting Irish, the home, the alumni of Boo, Corrigan,
Notre Dame?
Notre,
not Notre.
Kevin Keats last night was like Notre Dame, and
No,
I'm like,
no. I say Notre Dame.
Who is this Notre? I've heard people say it that way too.
Mm-hmm. I've always viewed saying Notre Dame kind of like I'm being hoity-toity, pinky out, to be obnoxious. Nobody actually says it seriously that way.
I don't know. I don't know. I grew up in
News to me.
Virginia. Maybe it's a thing down here.
I don't know. I've always said Notre Dame. Brooke Pryor was supposed to join us, but she's on George Pickens' watch.
Oh,
who
drama?
never showed up.
Oh no, for practice.
So yeah,
oh jeez.
I don't think I'm I mean, obviously this is going to be something that Brooke will be talking about, but
yeah,
I've been texting with Brooke this week, like, hey, let's get you on because I think the Ravens Steelers is actually the most compelling of the wild card matchups this weekend. I've said before, I'll say it again. Every column about this game has already been written. You're just waiting on which one to publish. We've got the Mike Tomlin, Russell Wilson column ready to go. We have the Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh column ready to go. Just a matter of the result. And then you hit publish on the right one. So she texted me earlier, like, hey, because we say, hey, 2:45, she should be done with the whole Pickens thing. Well, apparently Pickens never showed up. So, yeah, she said, hey, there's a chance I can't make it. There's still no signs of Pickens. And I'm like, well, he never showed up, and now I have to deal with this. So sorry. And I quote, can I give you my Russ and Bill Belichick takes next week? I'm like, you always have a spot on the podcast. So here we are.
Aaron is over at the Ice House now.
Look at that. It's my home away from home. If
Yeah.
they could get their Wi-Fi right, just gives me an excuse to go to Shady's. Just gives me an excuse to go to Shady's, man. That's what it's all about. All right. Oh, from Matt. What about the Peyton Wilson is the best rookie article? He's had a hell of a year, man.
Yeah.
Hell of a year. So do you want to start there? You want to start with the Ravens and the Steelers?
Yes.
The Steelers in the last 10 games are 8-2 on the Ravens.
Okay.
And I know that the Steelers
Let's look.
are flagging right now.
They're
4-game losing streak. Haven't looked good.
against all good teams.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you have the whole the immovable object and the irresistible force, right?
Mm-hmm.
You also have John Harbaugh, Lamar Jackson, postseason faceplants.
Yeah, including last year when they were the best team in the NFL and then decided not to cover Travis Kelce in a football game.
What's going to give, Joe? What's going to give?
Looks like the Ravens will be. Well, now Zay Flowers is not playing. If Pickens doesn't play, obviously the Ravens don't rely on Zay Flowers, even though he's their best receiver.
Yeah.
Pickens is obviously one of the only, if not only, game breaker on the Steelers roster.
Mhm.
So if there's that much drama going on with Pickens, let's go Ravens at home. I don't like the number though. The number's 9.5.
So meaning what? What do you?
I would take the Steelers and the points. I don't like to take a team if I don't think they're going to win. I don't like to take the points unless I think they're going to win.
I see. I'm at the point where you zag, right? When everybody else is doing the other.
Zig.
And, I was reading one preview from Tyler Dunn over at Go Long, and they were just talking about straight talent. Regardless, as you mentioned, Pickens and all this other stuff, right? That the Ravens just simply have more talent than the Steelers, and that's going to play itself out. And I think people are very desirous to have their Justin Fields takes justified. That I think, and I honestly think that it goes back to the whole never lost thing with Russell Wilson. Everybody's counting Russell Wilson out. This is where I go into vibes over on the field. On the field, if you were to ask me, tail of tape, who should you take? Yes, by all means, you take the Ravens. But there's a lot of intangible reasons why I would not take the Ravens. One, it's Russell Wilson, Mike Tomlin, and everybody writing the obituary for those two. I mean, there's a conversation about whether or not Mike Tomlin's going to come back next year,
right?
Which I think is kind of silly.
Yeah, the actual Steelers, not David Tepper learning from the Steelers,
right?
Will not do that.
Not going to do that. And then you have on the other side the Ravens and all of their postseason lack of success. So I'm actually going to go with the Steelers with an upset in this one, just based on vibes and vibes alone. I know that sounds silly, but sometimes that's how it plays out. Speaking of vibes, I feel like I missed the ball, or I dropped the ball yesterday, because the other game on Saturday is between the Texans and the Chargers. I dropped the ball in our conversation. I got the storyline now. Yesterday, you and Chip Patterson got into a back and forth about who would you rather be, Ohio State or Michigan. I put that out on social media just for fun, right?
We both had the Michigan in the holster.
You both said Michigan. And I was like, you guys are so stupid, But at the same time, I was mad at myself because I forget, no, that's very college mentality. I still got one over on you. This is Jim Harbaugh, coach of the Chargers.
Former Michigan coach, won the national championship at Michigan last year.
Against CJ Stroud.
Former Buckeye.
Do you know Jim Harbaugh's coaching record against teams quarterbacked by CJ Stroud?
As we speak, if they didn't play this year, 2-0.
2-0. Yeah. So this ties back into the conversation yesterday. I feel like this is just another feather in the cap of Michigan fans on Ohio State.
Yeah. See, we got you.
We got you in so many ways.
Yeah.
In so many ways. Not only have we beat you 4 times in a row and almost got your coach fired, Ryan Day, but now we're going to extend that to the NFL with our former coach going up against your former quarterback and extend that whole thing. So this has nothing to do with Justin Herbert, because I know it's going to be a big deal if Justin Herbert finally gets on the winning side of a playoff game, because he is the prince that was promised, and he hasn't necessarily. If you're going to be that guy, at some point you do have to win playoff games, right?
Got to deliver.
So to me, I think this one's going to be positioned as Jim Harbaugh getting over on the Ohio State guy once again. That's how I position this game. Also, there is one conversation that I'm waiting to see if it actually happens. And it's a follow-up to last year. So look, I'm not trying to absolve Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers last year. They sucked. Straight up sucked. But the entire year became a referendum on the Panthers and who they picked, while CJ Stroud was having a wonderful rookie season with the Houston Texans. Now, there's a difference between the Houston Texans and how they were constructed for a rookie quarterback versus where the Panthers were and how they were constructed in bringing on Bryce Young. The argument then, and I still believe today, is if you put CJ Stroud on the Panthers last year, you role reversal, put CJ Stroud on the Texans, or I'm sorry, put CJ Stroud on the Panthers, put Bryce Young on the Texans, you're probably talking about these quarterbacks a little bit differently. CJ Stroud has had a sophomore slump.
Yeah.
And we went from, oh my goodness, this is the greatest rookie we've seen. The Panthers got it wrong. The Houston Texans, blah, 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 blah. We're not really talking about CJ Stroud. And it probably, I mean, look, they're in the playoffs, which is something the Panthers cannot say, but we do have to have an honest conversation about a sophomore slump. So I'll be curious to see how that's positioned going forward as a result of this game, which I think the Chargers will ultimately win. All right, let's go to Sunday, where the first game out of the gate is the Broncos and the Bills. Rookie quarterback in Buffalo. If only this game was played in a dome, Joe.
I wish.
It's not
perfect conditions.
Perfect conditions for the Bills to get over on the Broncos. This is not, I don't think this is going to be a problem for the Broncos at all. I mean, for the Bills at all.
Well, see, now you got to be careful with that in the playoffs.
Okay.
You got to remember that the Bills can find a way. Like you know,
not
life,
against the Broncos, though, man.
Famous last words.
Okay.
Obviously, Sean Payton has the Broncos ahead of schedule in year 2 of his rebuild, but this feels more of like the NFL films. You know, you write the glory script about how they beat the Mahomes-less Chiefs in week 18, and then
fair.
And then you yada 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 the 31-13 loss to the Bills in the wild card round. That the victory itself was getting there, not what actually happened in the playoffs.
I don't know, man. Rookie QB in those conditions.
It's not really a rookie. He's like 28 years old. I
You
mean,
know what I mean, though.
I know.
You know what I
know.
mean. It's not like it's not like Bo Nix was playing in these situations. In the
no, he's not a freeze your dick off quarterback from Auburn and Oregon.
No, that is
not like
Josh
Allen.
Damn right.
Wyoming.
No, I said Jaden Daniels. That's the evening game.
He was built for frozen penis weather.
No, that I was gonna say I got ahead of myself with Jaden Daniels as the Commanders are taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's another intriguing game, all things considered.
That should be a good game. Although you know what my theory is about Baker Mayfield.
No.
The calendar turned to 2025. It's now officially an odd numbered year,
which means
Baker always balls out in even numbered years.
Oh, you're like my dad when it comes to the Miami Hurricanes, where it's like, is it an even year?
Nope. Not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen. Odd number year? Hell yeah.
Baker's
There's
been
some Canes over
Baker's
here.
been
Whoosh.
so good, but man, you get him in those even numbered years. Look out.
I just think the Buccaneers are a more complete team, along with the crusty vet that is Baker Mayfield, and that's why I'm not. Let me put it this way: I am not putting my eggs in the rookie QB basket at this point. So give me the crusty vets that are the Buccaneers.
Washington's hit a bit of a wall,
a little bit.
So we'll see.
A little bit, and then speaking of walls, I think the Packers are a classic. Well, the Packers just can't get right. They can't get healthy. They seem like to be dealing with all sorts of issues. I also think the Packers have a little bit of Miami Dolphins in them, in that when you look at who they've beaten, who they've played, and how they've gotten to 11-6, you can see a little bit of mirage there.
Remember last year they beat the Cowboys in their first playoff game, and people were like, "Oh my God, Jordan Love's a Hall of Famer.
Here we go."
And then they should have beaten the Niners in the next playoff game, but it was like mangled by the coach.
Yes.
And so going into this year, it was, oh man, the Packers sleeper. Like even their odds at the beginning of the year were stupid. And I said, we're really excited about a team because they beat Check's Notes, the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs.
Yeah, when you beat the Cowboys, America's team, that's what ends up happening.
So I actually think they're going to get piped in this game.
I agree with you, by
the big banged up Eagles, but I just think they're going to get piped in this game.
I agree with you in that regard. I also think, again, going back to what I do best, vibes. This season started off with Nick Sirianni.
Oh, that's right. They played each other
on the hot seat. Everybody's getting ready to get rid of him. They go on this incredible winning streak, but people kept saying, no, there's no way it's no. This is a fractured team. They don't like each other. I don't trust this coach. All this other stuff. Watch Nick Sirianni get to the freaking NFC
Super
Championship
Bowl.
game. No, not the Super Bowl. I think they're going to get to the NFC Championship
Ruin
game.
my Lions ticket. Weasel.
They're not going to ruin the Lions ticket. They'll lose to the Lions. Actually, no. Yeah, they'll lose to the Lions because that's the next game. You got the Vikings and the Rams.
Yep.
Now, Dan Campbell did say to Kevin Stefanski, the head coach of the Vikings on Sunday night, see you in 2 weeks. In order to see you in 2 weeks, you got to get past the Rams.
Kevin O'Connell is the
I'm
coach
sorry,
of the Vikings.
Kevin O'Connell, my bad.
Yeah.
All that being said, coaches aside, me flubbing that, could be the dark arts talking for all I know.
It could be.
No,
you screwed it up yesterday too.
Did I do it
didn't
yesterday?
catch it
Okay.
until I listened to it.
Me.
Because you know I listen to the show.
I don't. What's the point? What's the point? I think too many people are trying to see I told you so about Sam Darnold and the Vikings.
What do you mean?
No, just like
because he hasn't played ball like down the stretch.
Right, like he's turned into a pumpkin, the JJ McCarthy thing. You can't no. I think the Lions are just that team, man.
I think it was Cowherd who said they should trade JJ McCarthy. I think they will.
I think
because
so too. I think so
because
too.
what
I
we,
can see
because of
that.
what we talked about, it's not a great draft class.
Yeah.
So if you're picking, 7 through 15, wouldn't you rather have JJ McCarthy than the third best quarterback in this class?
I could see that.
Yeah,
I could see that. All right, and then with the college football playoff, do we have our official picks then?
I got Penn State tonight.
Yeah.
I begrudgingly have Ohio State in the other game.
Look, again, it goes back to vibes. You absolutely take Ohio State because that man was good as fired after the Michigan game. They're going to make it to the freaking championship. And
No, they're going to win the championship.
They're going to win it, and Kirk Herbstreit is going to pleasure himself on the college game day set to tell you
I hope he doesn't
that you had it
do
all
there.
wrong. No, he'll do it right there because he has to impress Pat McAfee.
Oh, yeah.
He might wear a tank top while he does it. Today has been a very live podcast, to say the least, right down to people who could not make it to the show. But me being checked in real time on certain things like Roback, which is why we are going to send Mack Brown a Roback care package. We.
Well, they are coming out with new Carolina merch.
No, do they have Texas merch?
They already have Texas merch.
Oh, well, then even better.
Okay.
Even better. Let's send him some Texas merch, have him come in. Because are we not trying to reach out to Mac? Just to be a football analyst?
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
Right?
I would like that.
That'd be funny. Like, we don't need to talk about anything.
No.
Let's just talk football. Let's talk ball, baby.
Yeah.
So, and we'll put him in some Texas Roback gear.
We could do that.
He can see the difference.
Yes.
It's
delightful.
And he could save money when he uses the promo code OG20.
Use our promo code. Yes.
Use that promo code.
Use our
OG20.
brand and our promo code.
Dude, it would be hilarious if we could get Mack Brown an OG quarter zip or an OG vest.
Oh, we can.
Let's make this happen.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. In the meantime, you can buy some goodies over at Roback. Check them out. Roback.com. Use that promo code OG20. Big thanks to our friends over at Nature's Relief, naturesreliefhempstore.com, RELEAF hempstore.com. There's a variety of reasons why you should visit Nature's Relief. If you're looking to tackle anxiety, you're looking for a deeper night of sleep, you're looking to just melt into the couch while you watch Skeleton Crew on Disney Plus.
Yeah, if the only way for you to power through this abysmal Final Four of college football is by sleeping through it, there you go.
There you go. Nature's Relief can handle that. So check them out online at naturesreliefhempstore.com. Better sleep, obviously, is great for your mental well-being. So is working out, which is why you got to go to O2 Fitness, because nobody's thought about going to the gym in January coming out of the holidays before us. So head on over to
No
O2
one
Fitness.
had ever thought about that.
No. So O2fitnessclubs.com, you can find out about all their locations. You're not going to a gym unless it's conveniently located. We know that. We also know that Renew Physiotherapy is there to help you work on that creaky neck like Joe Giglio.
My father used to make outlandish claims, like he invented the question mark.
O2 Fitness Clubs invented being more than just a gym, though.
No,
we can say that.
We invented telling people to go to the gym
in January.
January.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
That was your New Year's resolution.
Yes.
You never would have.
You never would have thought about. You never would have thought about sweating out all that fruitcake. Nope. Never would have thought about that before we told you to go to O2 Fitness Clubs. And again, more than just the gym. Check out Renew Physiotherapy.
Go to the gym. Eat better.
Joe.
Yeah.
There's a reason why we were named the 2025 Reader's Choice Best Local Podcast by the readers of Wake Living Magazine.
I mean, that reason is clearly we're innovators.
Absolutely. You know who's innovating? Our friend Matt Davis over at State Farm.
Always.
Check him out online, the oginsurance.com, insuregarner.com, or call him directly at 919-779-8277. He's going to get inventive to make sure that you save money on your home and auto.
He also has a bunch of hockey tickets that we're going to be giving away in 2025 as we get down the home stretch here of the Carolina Hurricanes season. So when you think hockey, you think generous, you think Matt Davis, you think what are your insurance needs? Have a call. Have a conversation. 919-779-8277.
All right, let's get out of here on some Hey Joe to the YouTube comments while we're on OG Live, brought to you by the Butcher's Market on YouTube from Jermaine.
Who's Germany?
Or Germany. How many ACC tournament titles did Baycott get? LOL, go Pack. I mean, he had a pretty good run against NC State, though. From the NC State moderator, Jim Boeheim is clearly the bus driver for NC State. Every time he covers us and throws shade our way, we squeak out a miracle win to spite him. Karma for seeing Greensboro has zero value.
I mean, when I saw West Durham's tweet yesterday, I retweeted it with NC State run coming in 3, 2.
From Davis, what are the DraftKings odds that Belichick pulls a Belichick and leaves Carolina without coaching a game? I don't think we can get those odds.
They do have the special of Carolina over 7.5 wins, which if Bill Belichick is their coach is guaranteed to come home. So, but you can tell that they're hedging it for that particular reason.
Yeah. From Kyle, they are a lot of, this is about NC State, a lot of solid to above average players that haven't gotten a chance to come together. Sounds a lot like last year, but the question will be, will it come together in time? We'll only find out on March 11th in Charlotte.
Yeah, no, I think you're just missing the talent that they had on last year's team.
Fair enough. From Loves the Cover 2, I love when we ruminate on the asshole theory. This was in relation to Mick Cronin. Followed up with, I need a job. What do I have to do to be employee number 3?
We're working on it, Luce. We are.
Okay.
We're trying.
We're trying on that one. Let's see. From AT, wish Shady's was open right now. I brought the hotspot to help me out. See, he knows about that Garner Polar Ice being terrible when it comes to Wi-Fi.
Should be open now after 3, right? Or is it?
I think it's 4 o'clock.
Okay.
I think it's 4 o'clock.
We'll have to get Josh on.
Now, speaking of the Garner Iceplex, the Ice House, and speaking of youth hockey, you had sent this to me. Youth sports back in the day, followed by where we are today. Let's hear this out.
I want to apologize now. We have one away game this week that is 8 miles away. The South America tournament starts this Monday in Peru. Once that's over, we will hike the Amazon rainforest to get to the port of Spain by Thursday, where a Carnival cruise ship will take us to South Africa for a game in Cape Town. From there, we will bus up and play in the Saudi Arabia Classic. Now, I know what you're thinking. Pretty low-key schedule. But after yesterday's attempt to play the Sentinelese tribe on their island, I felt like we should take it easy the next few weeks. Where's Mark? How you feeling? Good. You should probably get that checked out after the season's over. But for now, you are in charge of team snacks for the upcoming games. And don't forget, 2 of the kids have peanut allergies. Parents, I want to apologize.
I love the payoff to the visual joke of the arrow in this.
Yes. So we have a weather event potentially happening.
Okay. I mean, it's cold, man.
No, I know
mean,
it's cold. I know it's
care
cold.
Where you're from, who you are, it's cold.
So we have a potential weather event happening overnight, Friday into Saturday. And we have hockey games at Invisalign on Saturday against the Triad Storm out in Winston-Salem.
Okay.
Appropriately enough, Hurricanes versus Storm, right?
Your blood rival?
No.
No?
No. The Raleigh Raptors would be, if I had to tell you who the Junior Canes blood rival is, like I actually tie it back to the beginning of the show. Junior Canes versus Raptors would be the Duke and Carolina.
Okay.
The Triad Storm would be the NC State in this equation.
Okay.
Right? Anyway.
You're saying the Triad Storm like never wins or hasn't won?
No. I mean, heck, they kicked our ass when we went to Winston-Salem a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Where I had to see a Josh Graham WSJS ad in the freaking building.
In the building?
Yeah, I texted him. Nice. Of course, in classic Josh mode, I sent him a selfie in front of the ad. He's like, "Are you in Winston-Salem?" "No, Josh. I photoshopped this." Anyway. Oh, wait a minute. Since we're live. Oh, geez. Now I honestly feel like I'm back in radio. All Wake County schools will dismiss 3 hours early on Friday.
Tomorrow. Okay. So am I going to get to okay, so
all athletic and extracurricular activities for Friday and Saturday are canceled.
Oh, that means our basketball practice will be canceled on Saturday.
Well, see, that's what I'm trying to gauge now in terms of what's going to happen.
That's how Garner does it. If the schools are closed,
yeah,
we don't do practices and stuff.
Yeah, so right now I'm kind of in this weird mode of what's going to happen with the hockey games, which is not until 6:00 at night, right? So I've had to, because everybody's freaking out, and I had to gently remind the parents on the team, in a former life, I could tell you the tricks of the trade. And I'm just going to sit here and tell you that most of the things that happen today are engineered to keep you hooked on coverage. I'm not saying to dismiss or not take lightly the threat of ice or snow. I'm simply pointing out that there is incentive to keep you hooked on coverage. So let's just see how this plays out before we make any plans. And that's kind of where I'm at on Saturday right now as hockey team manager.
Biting my tongue.
All I know is, knowing our luck this season, chances are we're going to get an incredible 2,000 level snow event, because that's just kind of how the hockey season's gone for me.
But not Snowmageddon.
No, we're not going to have a car on fire on Glenwood.
Okay.
Which is like an ancient photo now.
Yes.
It happened so long ago.
Yes.
Happened so long ago. Anyway, let's go to the YouTube comments. What do we got here? From Timmy Ann. I love it when I hear Bomani commercials on the Tar Heel Sports Network. Tyler Hansbrough, Joe Ovies, and Joe Giglio. What a lineup. I can't.
I'm sorry. Did we buy ad space somewhere?
Yeah, so part of the Rialto event with the Basketball Jones is that there are spots running on the Tar Heel Sports Network. Can you imagine the face that people are making when they're listening to Jones Angel and Tyler Zeller on the broadcast? And Tyler and Jones
every penny
are doing it. Jones, look, y'all know how I feel about Jones. Jones does an incredible job being the voice of the Tar Heels. Yes. And Tyler Zeller has done, circumstances being very, very difficult. Tyler Zeller has done a very, very good job as an analyst role for the Tar Heels.
Zeller or Hansborough?
Zeller.
Okay.
Hansborough will occasionally do it, but
as I said, I thought I saw him at the Louisville game.
Last couple times I've listened on the radio, Zeller's been doing the call with Jones. But yes, I can only imagine what a good chunk of Tar Heel fans are going, Joe Ovies and Joe Giglio, F those guys. Absolutely love that. The state moderator chimed in on the YouTube comments. Put the chunk of hot dogs in the mustard ice cream along with all of Joe's additional toppings, and you've got the Giglio Glizzy Gelato. Should be a top seller at the Lenovo Center over the Slavin Sunday. You're welcome. Brutal. And Scott, UNC fan, I like you guys, but could you all keep the UNC hate at bay? I had asked, are we talking about football or basketball? Because we've been pretty optimistic about the basketball side of things. They chimed in and said football. I think we tried to clear that up best we could. Again,
just as we can applaud UNC for making the move, there's nothing wrong with I don't know if it's hating or pointing out certain obvious points when it comes to Bill Belichick.
Yeah. And we'll close on this from Blind Lemongello, who had a few things to chime in. He said, do you know the difference between teenage hockey players and sports commentators? None. Yeah, you're right. There's not much. Look, I've made the argument when it comes to men in particular, there's not much. Once you hit 13, you've kind of peaked, bro. You kind of peaked. He also adds the gemstones of my timeline. Truly poetry is being written right here in front of us on YouTube or whatever this is podcast. Back in my day, we tied an onion to a rope around our waist as that was the fashion of the time. And chimes in again, ball cupping. Ovies 2025, starting strong. Can't wait to learn about the finish. I'm just saying.
Same Joes as Justin said.
Yes. Same Joes. Look, in the relation to the ball cupping thing, it was just a matter of how Pat McAfee introduces his guests. And maybe that's what we need to do when people come on the Heister Automotive Group hotline.
Shouts to our friends at Heister.
Yes. I don't know if they would appreciate that sort of thing, but what do I know?
So I'll disclose our Bennett, our good friend.
Mhm.
And if you need to buy a car, sell a car, Heister's got you. Heister
That'll be
Auto,
me in March.
HeisterAuto.com. So I hit him up because he told me recently, he goes, hey man, my family really cares about the weight game.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously we'll go to the Carolina game. He's like, but any other state basketball game that you'd like to go to, if you text me and ask me if there's available, there almost certainly will be, right? So I texted him earlier this week. I said, hey man, you have tickets for this Notre Dame game? He's like, yeah. I said, okay, cool. I'm going to go to the game. I realized this yesterday. They've moved the visiting radio up to the concourse. So the seats where the Heister seats are in row Z of section 116 are in front of the visiting radio seats.
Okay.
So you thought it was bad that they moved us normal people to the upper deck.
Yeah.
They moved visiting radio.
Yikes.
So that's why I saw the person walking up the steps handing out the stats. Hence my text to our friends.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today's OG Live, brought to you by the Butcher's Market. We appreciate them. We will be back for an OG mailbag, which you can hear the full episode as part of OGTriangleMedia.com. Go be an OG fan subscriber today. Quick housekeeping note on OG Triangle Media and OG fans. If you're part of the Founders Club, and I know there's a good bit of you, we will have that storefront ready to go for the hats. Very excited about this. We got a beanie. We got a rope hat. What are you laughing at?
We launched this thing like
4 I know. We take our time, Joe. As to borrow a phrase from Dan Lebitard, because he's right, we are building the plane while we fly it.
Yes.
Okay. And as Jeannie points
we
out,
won't make it all the black.
that's true. Ball cupping. And how will you introduce Brooke Pryor? Jeannie.
Great point.
Don't, because the dark arts. Well,
hey man, here's the mail. It never fails. Oh, shouts to John who sent me the rankings of songs, and I'm about to get myself in trouble here. OG songs, and he ranked the OG songs that he likes.
Yeah. I did not get this ranking.
You and Lauren apparently have a really, really good. Can you play it for me?
Which one?
For the Panic Room.
Do
you have it?
Yeah. Hold on a second. I have to pull up Audition. So
And here's why he sent it to me. Apparently for this week's OG on Business, you forgot to play the intro to OG on Business. And that was ranking number 3 on his list. Number 1 was the Panic Room.
Wait a minute. I did the right OG on Business.
Number 1 was the Panic Room. Number 2 was the Bruce Springsteen Lightning Round. And number 3 was the OG on Business instrumental intro.
So this is for those who don't listen to or don't have OG fans, you're not a part of OG fans, this is the Panic Room intro.
If it's Mack, here's or do. ACC Panic Room.
He did say it was Hootie.
This is ACC Panic Room.
And of course, that's Brian from Nice
That's
Price.
Brian. Hold on a second. Now you have me freaking out that I got the wrong OG Business. Hold on a second. Let me pull this up. This is live. You are getting some live rawness, folks. Hold on a second. What do we got here?
OG.
OG.
This is the right one.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's stand on business. It's OG on Business alongside Dimitri Ravanos. I'm Joe Ovies. Have you recovered from the Beyonce ball, Dimitri? Yeah. This is the right one.
Perfect.
Unless I uploaded the wrong one. Perfect. Wait a minute.
Uh-oh. Ken says you did forget it.
Shit.
Oh. No. Yeah, he said you just started roll. Who knows? I don't know.
Shit.
I don't
Hold
know.
on a second. I can figure this out right now. Now
I didn't realize there was a Hootie one though. I like that.
Yeah, there's a Hootie one.
You know that's right in my wheelhouse.
All right.
We need a Dave Matthews.
Hold on a
one
second. Hold
from
on.
Brian.
Hold on.
Wow.
Am I
What'd
not
you
covered
say?
by the arm?
Ah, shit. I put the raw file in there.
Hopefully he didn't.
Hold on a second. Now I gotta hear this live.
Inappropriate.
Hold on.
No,
you're not covered.
Okay, cool.
Plus, it adds to the radio-ness of it.
Sure.
That's right. I gotta move you up. All right. Because you're a loud motherfucker. Okay. Let's.
Ah, shit.
See, it was good.
Dimitri is a loud motherfucker. No, seriously, on the Roadcaster, I have to pot his ass down. I gotta pot his ass down.
He has a radio voice.
He
got
really
that,
does.
He's got that Zoo Morning crew.
He really does, man.
Once the lights go on, he
he goes
there.
he goes into full Salt and Dimitri mode, and you know what? That's what you get when you pay for OG fans. You get me fucking up. Anyway,
I'm just glad you motherfucked him and not somebody else.
I've done that before, by the way.
I know. There's always a live mic. I was told that once.
I got in trouble for that one time. Not my best moment. Not my best moment. Not my best moment. I'll admit that. Not my best moment. There's been some. Look, we've all in our careers done things we wish we had back.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, that's all. That's all. Anyway, that's gonna wrap it up for an OG Live. You guys got some extra stuff. From Paul. Just a heads up, you will need to pot me down on Saturday, especially if the Heels lose. And yes, T, I am not going to break this glass.
No,
this is a precious glass, a
no.
very precious glass.
No.
Anyway, we will see you tomorrow for an OG mailbag that I will properly produce. I will properly produce the mailbag.